All right, I just got back from Avatar: Way of the Water. And let's talk about this movie. I'm going to keep this review as short as I possibly can, and I promise you I will keep it spoiler-free. So here's the short answer. People want to know, was it better than the first? No, it wasn't. Was it worth the 13-year wait? No, it wasn't. But this was a serviceable sequel to the original. James Cameron is back to direct, and we are taken to a whole new location on Pandora, and we find out kind of how big Pandora is and what's going on in different regions of Pandora. So if you can tell by the name of the movie, Way of the Water, we're going to meet a whole different tribe that is on a different part of Pandora where they control the water, and there's many tribes. I'm not going to tell you why they're introduced or what happens, but at the very beginning of this movie, you are thrown into the mix of what's going on 13 years later. They kind of give you a little short story as to what leads up to the beginning of this film, and there's quite a few things that have transpired since the last film. And at the very beginning of the movie, we find out that the humans are back to Pandora to actually harvest some more stuff. And it sets off a chain reaction of events that culminates into what was an awesome last 45 minutes of the film. The rest of the film was okay. So let's talk about what I didn't like. First of all, James Cameron is just like every other Hollywood person out there that has to be progressive. Came out and made a comment the other day that the reason the last Terminator film flopped was because he brought Arnold Schwarzenegger back, and he's talking about toxic masculinity. Well, he had to go and be... Well, that's not why that film failed. The reason that film failed is they killed off John Connor and completely changed the history and brought in some woman to be the hero who... Yeah, I'm not even going to get into that. That's a whole different story. But he had to be progressive in this film, and there's a Na'vi played by Kate Winslet, who is pregnant in the film, and she ends up fighting. So we have a pregnant fighting Na'vi. So progressive. Stupid, as a matter of fact. I think it's kind of goofy that he wanted to throw that in there just to be progressive. What I was most worried about going into this movie, and just so you know, I'm not like a massive fan of the original. I don't think it aged well. I think it looks like an animated film with real characters in it, and this film was pretty much the same. But I will tell you, the water effects in this movie were amazing. Everything underwater was 100% believable, way better than the on dry land and the things they did in the last film. This movie, though, well, what I was worried going into it, and where I was going with this, is the music. I am a massive James Horner fan. James Horner music can make you feel something in a film without you even realizing it. And he passed away about 6 years ago in a plane crash. And his music is what made the first film. If you watch that film without his music, it's really not that good. And he's not back. They carry over some of his themes from the original film, but there are 3 very particular scenes in this film that really needed that emotional connection, and it wasn't there because it wasn't James Horner's music. And it was very disappointing. There were some really impactful scenes that really should have packed a very massive punch. And because his music wasn't there, it seriously lacked. And it was very disappointing. And that's not to say that the music was terrible. It was serviceable, but could have been better. Okay. The film is also about 3 hours and 15 minutes. Now, I didn't really get bored, but I did start looking at my watch at about an hour, 45 minutes in. I was like, okay, let's move the story forward. They easily could have cut an hour out of this film and not skipped a beat, literally. Does that mean what you're watching is going to be boring or you're not going to enjoy it? No, you will. You'll enjoy what's there, but I just don't think it could have been 2 hours and 15 minutes, and I think you would have gotten the same story and would have has been just as impactful. And I will tell you, the last 45 minutes is amazing, better than anything they did in the original film. The rest of it is just kind of, it's okay. So at the end of the day, what would I give this? I think I would give this movie a 3.5 out of 5 stars Whereas the first one, I would give it about 4 out of 5 stars. Like I said, I think the first one hasn't aged quite as well, but the music is amazing. And this one, things are kind of reversed. The music is okay, but the water effects are amazing. And especially the ending. The ending is phenomenal. The last 45 minutes is pretty freaking awesome. They do bring up a whole slew of new storylines in here that do not get resolved in the movie. So we know that there are sequels planned. He did talk about going up to Avatar 6 if he lives that long. And if he doesn't live that long, he said he would train somebody to do the films for him. So is this worthy of going to see at the theater? Yes, I think this does need to be seen on a big screen. I did not see it in 3D. I don't like 3D as a gimmick. Until they can do 3D without glasses, I am not interested in 3D. So I did not see it in 3D, but I did see it on the biggest screen I could. And yes, it does need to be seen on a big screen. It will not have nearly as an impact on the audience if it's on a smaller screen. All right, if you guys have seen the movie, what did you think? I look forward to people's comments, and I will see you on the next review.